Hi, I'm Max Rodriguez, founder of the Harlem Book Fair and publisher of QBR, the Black Book Review. Today, we have the honor of speaking with author Moses. Today, we have the honor of speaking with author Moses Shepherd, who is the author of A Sharecropper's Son. And by the way, he is 83 years old. There is something there that speaks to our vitality, that at 83 years old, this author would live his life, would pause his life to share his remembrances so that others can learn from what he has experienced. Welcome to our show, Brother Moses.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
So A Sharecropper's Son. I think the title sort of gives us the lead into your story. Tell us about the book. Tell us about your life.
Well, my parents were sharecroppers. That's one step above slavery. You work from sundown to sun up. That's 7 days a week, because the mules and the hogs got to be fed, and you don't pause on Saturday and Sunday from feeding them. And your allowance was $30 a month for a family of 7. And of course, when you look at the word poor, you'll see I have a picture in there. From the sharecroppers to the project, but we never made it that high to the project. And one reason I wanted them to know about how we had to go in the back door. When you drink out of water fountain, you had colored water and you had white water. Bus station, you had the colored side and the white side. And just about everything was split down the middle. Of course, they had the advantage. My niece and nephews and my son, I'm glad they'll never experience that. And they encouraged me to write this book to tell the story of how it was. Because I've heard some of my relatives, young relatives, say, oh, it wasn't that bad, but they didn't live it. I did. And that's about the summation of it.
Let's start from the beginning. I read in the book that you began working the farm at 4 years old.
That's about right. Might have been 3 years old.
What could you possibly do at 3 or 4 years old that would be considered a contribution to that labor, to that work?
Well, my mother made me a little small cotton sack because I wanted to have a cotton sack. I could beg to make one. And I would pick cotton until I got tired. Then I'd ride on my mother's cotton sack for a while. Then I'd pick some more cotton. Then I'd ride on my father's cotton sack. And during the tobacco season, even though I was only about 3 or 4 years old, they would get me up about 3 o'clock in the morning to take out tobacco out of the tobacco barn. And the tobacco sticks looked like they're about 7 or 8 feet long, because I was only about 3 feet tall. And I just got used to working. I never had a childhood, let's put it that way. I started working when I was about 3 or 4 years old and worked till I was 19 when I went in the Navy.
I feel the pain, my brother. I feel the pain. I'm sorry that was your life, and I know still you found the goodness in all of that. Let's put this in geographic perspective. Where were you? And what was the time frame? What years did this all happen?
Well, this happened in 1943. I can barely remember that, but I remember bits and pieces. And it didn't stop, like I said, till I was 19. And when I got about 6 years old, I was 5 years old, I was babysitting 2 children, if you can imagine a 5-year-old babysitting. Babysitting my 2 sisters. One was 3 years old, and the other one was an infant. And then from there, I went to the fields plowing. I used to beg my daddy to let me plow, and he said, "You're too small to plow." And so one day when I was about 7 years old, he said, okay, I'm gonna let you fly. And he sat on the shade tree. He said, I let you go this round. I'm going to run around with you and show you exactly what to do. Then you go the next round by yourself. Man, I was glad. And got back to the end of the road. He said, okay, you got it. Go ahead. And so he set up under the tree. And I came back down and I was just as happy. He said, you did pretty good. Go another round. And so that ended my not flying. I was flying from then on.
And where was this? What state were you in?
This was in Eastern North Carolina.
Eastern North Carolina. Name
Eastern
of
North
town?
Carolina. LaGrange. Nobody,
LaGrange.
most people never heard of it. Even people in North Carolina never heard of it. Most of them had one red light, and when they built the bypass, they changed that red light to a blinking yellow light.
Huh. Does it still exist?
Barely. When they built the bypass, that kind of killed it because people didn't have to stop to get gas and stuff. Like them white folks used to leave the middle of the state, go down 70 going to the beach. And we was only about 50 miles from the beach. And when they had the red light, they used to stop through there and do some shopping. But after they built the bypass, there was no need to go through there. So that just about killed it.
So how did everyone survive?
Well, we didn't. I mean, we existed. we didn't survive. We existed. Most black men when I was growing up, they were raggedy. They had cut slits in the shoes when the bunions started hurting them, and they just barely existed, and they didn't go to the doctor until they was about dead. And you see a black man when I growing up over 50 years old, he looked like he was 80 because they worked him so hard. But I said, if I ever get big enough, I'm gonna get out of here, and that's what I did.
And how did you? I know you enlisted in the Navy at 19. Did you live in LaGrange and work the fields until you were 19?
Yes, I did. I wanted to go in the Navy when I was 17, but my mother wouldn't sign for me. Then when I got 18, she didn't have to sign for me. My father had a stroke. I said, well, I'll stay here one more year. Help you all out. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're gonna do when I leave, but I got to get out of here. And once Monday morning, I believe it was, in 1957 in January, I said, well, I'm going. And so I walked out to the highway, which was about 2 miles, to catch the bus to Kingston. And I got about 50 feet from the highway 7, and the bus passed by.
Oh.
And so I hitchhiked, first time I ever hitchhiked, didn't know what I was doing. Hitchhiked to Kingston, and the man that picked me up, I told him what I was going to do. He said, well, I'll take you on to the courthouse. That's where the recruiter's office is. So I was intending to go in the Air Force, but when I got to the courthouse, had a sign said Air Force recruiter out for the day. Then I said, well, let me go. I walked back upstairs, and I happened to look to my left. The sign said Navy recruiter. And I jumped in there real quick. When I passed the test, he says, when you want to leave? I said, what time the next bus leave? So he said, no, you can't leave that quick. So I passed the test and everything. I did my little 4 years. When I got out, I came to DC because the mule had died and I didn't have a job to go back to. So, and that was
say more about that so our viewers can understand that the mule died, so you didn't have a job to go back to. Just say a little bit more about that.
My job was applying the mule. And in the next 4 years, I didn't. By the time I got out of the Navy, the mule had died, which means I didn't have a job to go back to. And also, the boss man had a cotton picking machine. So that killed that. And that's why you got so many of us up here in DC from North and South Carolina. We didn't have any jobs left. But now the young people not leaving like we did because they have jobs to go to. And when I was there, the only job a black man could get was a shovel and farming. And that was it.
This is living history. This is living history. Thank you for this. So how was your transition from the farm to the Navy, just out of curiosity?
Well, to me, when I went in boot camp, it was a lot of fun. So a lot of guys, especially the white one, they couldn't maneuver the obstacle course because they weren't used to climbing trees and jumping ditches and like I was, and most of us black from the farm. And if you try to give them a shot, for example, everybody had to take a shot when we got ready to leave to go overseas. The white boy would faint, but the black boys, we took it in stride. And if you running the obstacle course, and some of your shipmates, these to call it, don't make it, then you got to go back and help him. And I never had anybody help me, but I did help a lot of them. Like I said, a lot of them, they weren't used to the physical activity that we were.
So what then is so why did you write this book? The story is enough, but what was your motivation in writing the book?
Well, because my young relatives told me, Uncle John, you should write a book, and I'd be telling them a story. And because like I said, they really didn't know. And they didn't teach us Black history, and didn't teach them Black history either. And I didn't have any idea how to write. So I had plenty of help. You see, my granddaughter, my son, and she put the question marks and periods and everything in there where it's supposed to go. And my son, he helped me in this computer thing. And when I started writing, it took me about 4 or 5 years because I write and tear it up, write and tear it up, write and tear it up. And then I went to nursing home for a spell for about 3 years, I think it was. And I didn't do any writing while I was in there. But when I got out, I finished writing it, and my granddaughter read over it and make sure the sentence structure, everything was correct. And I was hoping they would kind of see things through my eyes, like when I was a child growing up, like going in the back door of restaurants and stuff like that.
So there's a conversation out there about we are always living in the idea that it's not as bad as it used to be. If anyone can answer that question, it's you. So there are many who say it's not as bad as it used to be, and there are others who say, yeah, but this still isn't good enough. So given that you've lived everything that we know historically, how would you answer that? Are things getting better?
Oh, things are a whole lot better now than it was when I was growing up, but we still got a long ways to go. I know that, but nothing compares to what things was back in the 50s and 60s and 40s. For example, they never seen an outhouse, and they don't know what an outhouse looked like.
No, but they know how to use it.
I hope they don't try to flush it. You get up in the middle of the night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, in the wintertime, it's either you use the slop jar or you go to the outhouse. And I tell you, it'd be cold out there. Then in the summertime, when you go to the outhouse, you have a lantern, and you move the lantern back and forth trying to watch out for snakes while you're walking from the house to the outhouse. And then when you get to the outhouse, if you got any matches, you should have, you light a piece of newspaper and run it around the edge. That kills the spiders, black widow spiders and everything. And my daddy got bitten by a black widow spider because he didn't do that one time.
And he lived.
Yeah, he lived, but he was miserable. The black widow put a hurting on him.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us a story that you'd like us to know from any part of your life, from any part of the book.
Okay, let me get back to where I was about the movie theater that particular Saturday. There was about 5 or 6 of us sitting on the front row. Excuse my language, they used to call that nigger heaven. That's where we had to sit. And we decided to have some fun with the white folks downstairs. So we started throwing popcorn downstairs on the heads. And so they called the police because we had two cops, two policemen, one big fat young one and one old one. And one came up on each side of the aisle. They slapped every kid sitting on that front row. That ended my crime career. Never did anything again.
Well, that's okay. You got off easy, given what could have happened. No.
Yeah, exactly. But we didn't throw no popcorn. And at the one restaurant we had in LaGrange, black folks had to go in the alley to get they hand you food out of the cubby hole. And they had a guy working there. His name was Smiley, and he had his right arm was paralyzed. I heard the lightning had struck him. I don't know, and he slobbered all the time. And so you go to order a hot dog or something, they give Smiley the food, and he bring it there. His arm be shaking, his slobber. So one of my neighbors and I went to LaGrange one day, and we went out to get the food. When Smiley came to the door, he said, "Hell no!" And we both started running, and we ran and stopped by the general store on the way out, going home. And white folks in there, they was sitting around drinking cokes and lying and carrying on. And one of them said, "You boys want some chewing gum?" "Yes, sir." And so they gave some chewing gum, and we had to walk about a mile to get home. And then after we start running to the cornfield to go to the bathroom. And we took turns all the way home. So when I got home, I was still doing it. My mother says, "What's my shoe? Why you keep running to the bathroom?" She said, "Let me see that chewing gum." It was Finiment. See, they played a joke on us. But hey, that's the way it was.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You know, I hear you. The anger wells up anyway. So what would someone, having read this book, A Sharecropper's Son, what would they learn about how to be today? What have you learned in terms of your character and your determination?
Well, I learned how to get along with everybody. I can say that much because we had to get along with white folks. And I've learned that I don't have anything to complain about now compared to what I didn't complain about in the 50s. And I'm hoping that the kids, I never hear any of them say again that it wasn't that bad. See, because they never experienced it. It's one thing they hear, and then I'm letting them read it, and they know it's coming from me. They know I lived through it. And so, like I said, I think, like in my case, I'm much better off now than I was then.
Mm-hmm. And where can a viewer, where can a reader find your book?
Go to Amazon. Is that right?
Mhm.
Amazon, yeah.
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com.
And I think we also have a website for you as well, and we'll make sure that that we let our viewers know that website also.
Oh, appreciate it.
Yeah. Is there anything, any parting words, any last thoughts that you want to share with our viewers? It's an amazing story. It's living history. I'm so grateful that you're here to tell it. And I'm glad that you and your family had the foresight to ask you to write it all down.
Well, I would say that I appreciate anybody that reads the book, and I hope they read it with understanding and realize that compared to 50 years ago, they don't realize how good they got it. And I tell my grandkids and niece and nephews all the time, man, y'all got it made compared to what we did. And they take it for granted. Like, for example, like when my son and his family go to the beach in Delaware, back in the 50s, they couldn't go. They get arrested. And so they got police brutality now, but it's not like it was then.
Yeah, yeah. should we as a community keep pushing for more,
Oh
or
yeah.
should we say we're doing well now?
No, 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 no. That's like the hen trying to cross the road. you,
Mhm.
you don't get halfway and stop. Go all the way across.
That's powerful.
And it won't be. We won't be equal in my lifetime. I know that. Maybe not my grandkids' lifetime, but I hope so. But it's not like it was. They used to come out. Let me see how can I put it. Um, for example, the word that we don't like to say. They used to call you that to your face, straight up, and wasn't nothing you could do about it. But now it's kind of undercover. You know what I mean?
I do. I do.
And I heard it so much when I was growing up that it really doesn't bother me. But I understand how my grandkids and kids and my son feel about it.
Hmm.
I heard black folks saying it. I mean, they said it, but it don't sound the same when they say it, when we say it, as when they say it. When they say it, man, it cuts you.
Mm.
But we said it with a different meaning,
Right. Right. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Brother Moses. Moses Shepherd Jr., author of A Sharecropper's Son. Thank you so much for joining us on the book channel. I'm Max Rodriguez. Thank you for watching, and keep reading. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Stay safe.
You too, brother.